Hey there. If you clicked on this video, I'm guessing you're either anti-Shein, curious, or feel personally attacked by the title. Welcome, either way. We're going to be talking about Shein today. I'm going to ask you, why do you still shop there? So, what is Shein? Well, unless you live under a rock, you probably know what it is. But in case you don't know, it is a Chinese fast fashion retailer, and that begs the question of what is fast fashion? Fast fashion is the method of producing as many clothing, accessory, whatever pieces in as little time as possible in order to keep up with trends. With social media, trends are bigger than ever. There's a lot of micro trends, which are trends that last a month to 3 months, and as soon as they're done, they're not cool to wear anymore, and they end up in the landfill most of the time. Shein adds up to 10,000 new items daily, which is insane to think about. Think about how many people they have coming up with and stealing ideas for the new products, how many people they have actually manufacturing the products, how many people they have packaging and shipping the products. 10,000 daily? So Shein has had their fair share of controversies, ranging from tax evasion to human rights violations. Your TikTok For You page is probably infused with Shein hauls, sharing the 10 to 50 products that they bought, the shirt they got for only $3 that is going to fall apart after a few washes and then they'll throw away or donate to the thrift store, in which the thrift stores have so much Shein clothing that you may as well just go to the thrift store to buy your Shein clothes rather than buying them firsthand from Shein. Only the problem is the clothing that is in the thrift stores that is from Shein is from those micro trends that were over after a month, therefore they're no longer cool to wear and will end up in the landfill because no one's going to buy them. So let's talk about their intellectual property infringement. This is on the more mild end of their controversies, but they have been involved in numerous intellectual property infringement lawsuits. They're accused of stealing designs from businesses ranging from Doc Martens to Ralph Lauren to Levi's. But even worse, they steal ideas from these small indie brands that take hours and months and days to dream up the products, manufacture, even sometimes hand make them, and Shein can make a replica of this item for 90% cheaper than the small indie store can and will sell them as their own products. I'll put up on the screen a few examples of them stealing from small indie stores. This is devastating to a small business because you have this giant fast fashion company who can recreate your product in literally a day turnaround time and sell it for way cheaper than you can. So why would a consumer buy from you when they could go to Shein and get the same sweater that you're selling for $100 and get it for $15? That's the problem. And Shein as a company does not have the best morals, which we will get more into. Them stealing designs from smaller brands is probably the thing they love to do most. If you made a Shein account anytime before 2018, it's very likely that your data, your password, and possibly your credit card information was exposed to the hackers. While the data breach was not necessarily Shein's fault, they should have had better cybersecurity measures put in place to prevent this breach, because the customers are putting trust into Shein when they buy their products, sign up for accounts, and the breach affected over 6.42 million customers in their database. Shein claims that they, most of the time, don't store your credit card information in your account, but if they do happen to store it in your account, your information was exposed to those hackers. So, not to mention, the Shein app is literally banned in India because it was found to be detrimental to national security related issues. That's not something to take lightly. So I'm sure we've all heard of Shein's swastika necklace that they were selling. It's probably one of their biggest controversies, and yet I know a lot of people who know about this controversy and still support Shein because it was just a mistake, right? Shein says that this was supposed to be a Buddhist religious symbol, but you got to assume that most people are going to see it as a hate symbol. Obviously, this is not acceptable whatsoever, and because they release thousands upon thousands of products daily, the products are not going to be filtered through and checked on by people to make sure that it's not offensive or wrong in any way. And given most of the time Shein does know what they're doing, I'm sure that their intent was not to be completely hateful in releasing this necklace, but there couldn't be at least one person who's like, maybe this isn't a good idea, you know? And with them copying all these small brands, it's no secret that they really don't care about moral values. They care about getting money, which shows. Even after their awful apologies, they continue to make these mistakes and selling such offensive products. For example, last May, they released a phone case with an illustration of a black person in handcuffs being traced in chalk by a white person. Obviously, this was interpreted as racist. Not to mention, they literally admitted to using the art, which was not intended for commercial use, and stealing it from the artist without their permission. So the artist was appalled by this, obviously, and said, if you're going to keep selling this phone case, please donate everything you make to the Black Lives Matter foundations. The phone case was going for $1.50, and Shein, once called out for this, apologized and deleted the phone case and said, oh, it won't happen again. We just made a mistake. Sure. They also sold sacred prayer rugs that they marketed as decorative rugs, and their solution to this problem was deleting the rugs after being called out, rightfully so, by consumers, and posting a cute little "we're sorry" message, promising to do better, but spoiler alert, they have not done better. Alright, human rights violations. This is not something to take lightly. If you're still supporting a brand that violates human rights consistently, maybe you should take a step back and look at your consumption habits and why you're still buying from them. But we'll get into that later. I'm not calling you an awful person for buying from Shein, but I am asking you why. It's no secret that Shein has been accused of profiting off of child labor and putting workers in horrible conditions, long hours, and very low pay. I actually had this video come up on my For You page of an actual worker in China that works for Shein in one of their many facilities, and it's so sad. It looks like a dungeon, and they are just like robots making so many pieces per day for little pay and very, very long hours. They receive 1 day off per month. Imagine that. And they often work 75-hour-long weeks, which is a complete violation of Chinese labor laws that prohibit employees from working 40-hour weeks and more than 35 hours of overtime per month. These employees are working 35 hours of overtime per week, which is 3 times what they are allowed in a month. How is this why is this just still going? Researchers who were trying to conduct studies on Shein and their working conditions and their violations found that buildings where the production takes place had barred windows and no emergency exits. Did we not learn anything from the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire of 1911? Because I'm pretty sure that was the catalyst for safe work environments, emergency exits. It just baffles me. Shein can say whatever they want. They claim that they support fair pay for all. They're strictly against child labor and unpaid labor, but there's not any evidence backing this up. Their reports are vague and suspicious. They're very secretive because they make these claims, but then there's nothing to actually validate what they're saying. Speaking of, their environmental impact is profound. The fashion industry is the second most polluting industry in the world, and like I mentioned earlier, they put out up to 10,000 items daily. To manufacture so much clothing in such little time, you gotta ask yourself, how are they doing this? What effect is this having on LeBron's legacy? The world. Sorry, I've been saying that joke all over TikTok, and it's not really funny, but anyway, they've been particularly quiet about their carbon footprint, and in a report, Shein claims that they are committed to lowering emissions and reducing waste, but they have not disclosed any information as to how they plan to do so. So basically, they're just kind of stalling and saying, oh yeah, we're going to do this. We're not sure how yet, but just believe us, it's going to happen, but it probably won't, if we're being honest here. Basically, they'll say whatever they have to in order to keep their customers buying, even if they make a completely false statement, for example, promising ethical working conditions to employees. The consumer may put their faith in the statement, and if they really enjoy buying from Shein that much, they're going to be like, well, this is a little bit iffy, but they say that they are against it and that they're going to do better, so I'll keep buying from here. But they're going to say whatever they have to say in order to keep their customers and in order to fight off any kind of controversies that they've been involved in, but it's not working. In conclusion, I know that everybody cannot afford the best sustainable fashion that's still trendy, but there are so many other places to support other than Shein. Even if you still need to buy fast fashion, there are other places that are doing a better job at being transparent about their working wages, their working conditions, their plans to offset carbon emissions. Just do your research before you buy, is what I'm saying. I know it's super tempting to buy because of the low prices and the trendy pieces, and you're like, oh my gosh, I saw this for like $100 somewhere else and I can get it for $15 here. It's worth investing in the long run a little bit more money into pieces that are going to last you forever rather than a Shein item that will probably last like a few washes and then you gotta throw it away. All I'm asking is to consume consciously. I'll admit I used to buy from Shein, but after I learned more about all of these controversies and how poorly they treat their workers, that's just not something that I want to put my money into. Because at the end of the day, consumers decide which brands succeed and which brands fail. The money you're putting into Shein is telling them, I support what you're doing and I'm going to keep buying from you, so keep doing what you're doing. Whatever it takes, I'm still going to buy your clothes if it's cheap and trendy. Think of your money as like a vote. Every time you buy something from Shein, you're voting for them, for their success. Rather than putting your money maybe into a small business or a thrift store where they have safe and fair labor. It's made domestically most of the time, which provides more transparency about the production. Most of the time, they're more sustainable. So just think about that before you buy. I've shifted to buying almost all of my clothing secondhand at thrift stores, which I know is not like realistic for everybody because sometimes your style is not thrift store clothing. But I asked you to be creative and think when you see a piece like, oh, it's not my style right now, but maybe I can crop it, add lace to it, reconstruct it in some way to make it my style. Because I think that's really cool and it's more unique because let me tell you, when I see somebody wearing Shein, I instantly can tell. Like, if I see somebody walking on the street, I'm like, that's Shein. Because, first of all, the construction of the clothing is not the best. And second of all, you know when it's a micro trend that person most likely just bought it really quickly. You can also buy from Depop and eBay. Depop has pieces that are definitely, like, still trendy, but you're buying secondhand, so you don't have to worry about more waste. Also, even if it's a piece that you know you're only going to wear, like, 10 times, and you donate it, it's better than buying it from Shein and it ending up in the landfill, if you know what I mean. Because most of the time, the pieces that you buy secondhand have already been worn several times and you know they're going to last you a while, which is way better. I don't hate you if you shop from Shein, and that's not what I'm saying with this video. All I ask of you is to reevaluate exactly why you buy from there. If it's the only thing you can afford, I understand. But if you could put your money into a small business or even just thrift, or even a more transparent fast fashion company that promises things and actually follows through on their promises, unlike Shein, why wouldn't you put your money there? Consumers determine the success of a company, so where you put your money speaks volumes, and that's what I want to leave you with today. Think of your money as a vote, and think about what company you want to succeed beyond their low prices or trendy pieces. Thanks for watching, and treat people with kindness. Bye.